Another recent study out of the Consumer Federation of America found that 40% of all American households live paycheck to paycheck with virtually no savings. This is what's become of the once vaunted American middle class after 30 years of trickle-down Reaganomics. And one reason for that is because they're paying too much in taxes. Remember when Governor Mitt Romney made these comments about the 47%?
47% were with him who are dependent on government, who believe that they're victims, who believe the government has a responsibility to care for them, who believe that they're entitled to health care, to food, to housing, to you name it.
Now let's exit the billionaires' fantasy land and enter the real world of tax policy and see who the real takers are. In the real world, state and local government are taxing the super rich at half the rate they tax the poor. That's a conclusion of a new study out of the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, which examines state, local, property, and sales taxes. I mean, if you're going to look at taxes, let's look at all the taxes, right, around the nation. According to the results, the poorest 20% of Americans pay an effective tax rate of 11.1%. Middle 20% pay 9.4%. Guess how much the top 1% pay? Just a measly 5.6%, half the rate that the poor pay. In some states around the nation, like Washington, Texas, Florida, and South Dakota, which have no state income taxes, the poor are paying tax rates 6 times higher than the top 1%. This disparity has a lot to do with states moving away from progressive income taxes and towards sales taxes, which are regressive since working people spend 100% of their income and are thus taxed on 100% of their income. The billionaires, on the other hand, can't possibly spend all their income no matter what, so they're taxed on only part of their income. Conservatives want you to believe that half the nation doesn't pay taxes, and that half of the nation is called takers. But that's not the reality. In a country where the top 1% pay half or as little as 1/6 of the taxes that the poor pay, then who are the real takers? We wonder why our economy continues to falter. It's working people and consumers who don't have enough money to spend. Meanwhile, the billionaires have more money than they can spend in 10 lifetimes. Something has to be done. Let's start by rolling back the Reagan tax cuts. Things worked great for 40 years before that. Put in place a new wealth tax on everyone making over $1 billion and redistribute, yes, that word, some of that wealth down to working people who will actually spend it and thus stimulate the economy. Consider this. The Forbes 400 richest billionaires in America have a combined wealth of over $1.7 trillion. Now imagine we took some of that wealth, leaving each billionaire with a full $1 billion, 1,000 million that they're free to do whatever they'd like with. You can't spend $1,000 million in your lifetime, no matter how hard you try. What's a minute? That would suddenly free up $1.3 trillion of wealth to be spent and invested in our economy. The average price of going to college at a state school pegged at roughly $22 grand a year, that $1.3 trillion could send 59 million young people, an entire generation, to school. We'd have an entire generation of college graduates who'd have access to good paying jobs, who'd stimulate the economy, who'd pay taxes to lower our deficits, and who'd once again make America, once again, the most educated nation with the most sophisticated workforce on the planet. And by the way, we've done that before. During the Dwight Eisenhower administration, the top tax rate on billionaires was 91%, and an entire generation went to college for free. It was called the GI Bill. And we went from 6% college rates to over 20% college graduate rates in a single generation. It built America.